We all know how big of a signing Treyson Eaglestaff was to the West Virginia Mountaineers this offseason. Well, he dropped a little bit of a bomb during Three Guys' interview. He's injured, but how bad is he injured and can he play? We're going to talk about it. Stick around.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul, and I am your host around here. Welcome into Locked On West Virginia. Appreciate you guys for joining in on another week as we getting ready, right? It's Tuesday. I told you guys yesterday players were coming to town for football, and they have all arrived. They went through workouts today. They went through some install today, which is great. But on this episode, we're talking basketball. We'll get to some football a little later on. Treyson Eaglestaff, the biggest signing of the offseason for West Virginia, right there with Honor Huff, broke some things down on a Three Guys interview today, and I'm going to go through a couple of the things he talked about that I think are important. If you guys don't know, I probably a few months ago, when he first signed, I was fortunate enough to interview his high school coach, Jordan Wilhelm, who he mentions in this interview quite a bit as a father figure and very important to him. But another thing he mentioned in this interview was that he got hurt and hurt kind of bad at an NBA draft workout. He also had some good things to say about the NBA draft workout. But overall, I think it's sidelining for a few weeks. So we're going to talk about this injury and how it could impact his season, if at all. And then we're going to get to some more dogs on tape. You know, I've been loving watching tape with you guys. I keep getting requests to continue to talk about tape. So I got 3 more dogs today for you guys to watch that I think could impact West Virginia in different ways on the football field. Got a little Treyson Eaglestaff footage too, because he referenced the Alabama game. Well, we're going to watch a couple clips from that Alabama game as well. Just a lot of fun on this episode. This episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by Monarch Money. Make sure you go over to monarchmoney.com and sign up for 50% off your first year. You can only do that at monarchmoney.com, guys, /LockedOnCollege. All right, guys, let's get into it, man. Treyson Eaglestaff went on Three Guys today. I'm jealous. I wanted to be his first public interview. I thought I had the inside track because I interviewed his high school coach. But unfortunately, this injury had I didn't know it, but it was a reason why he wasn't doing any interviews for a little while. So I haven't been able to get him on. So I've been doing other football players, different things like that. So I've got I just went through as he spoke and just kind of typed and then kind of put it all together at the end. So kind of this is what it's all about. The interview, he talked about his humble beginnings, how he was a late bloomer, talked about his high school growth, some passion beyond basketball, talked about the NBA draft workouts. There's a lot of information in this. And if you're a big fan, if you're a big junkie when it comes to West Virginia sports, this is exactly the kind of interview you're going to like. But I think I want to start with what I'm advertising here, and that's this NBA draft workout. Unfortunately, he mentioned being injured at the NBA draft workout, trying to dunk on somebody and hurt his hip, among other things, and it's kept him out for several weeks now. And we all know, like, about hip flexor injuries, they can absolutely linger. And, you know, he says he's moving around okay now, not back to 100% yet. But there is some worry here, you know, because our star shooting guard that we just got reportedly over $1.5 million for him, now he's kind of injured, and this is before we even get into Big 12 play. So there's some worries for me. I don't doubt Trey Eaglestaff as a player at all. As a matter of fact, I'm very confident in him as a player. But, I said this when he first signed. The only thing that's going to keep him from succeeding at West Virginia is going to be injuries, in my opinion. His game, he's proven it on multiple occasions, is power forward worthy, and it's not even really a conversation. But, I think, he's slight of frame. And that's some of the feedback he actually got at the NBA workouts was, what does he need to get better at? Well, he needs to get better on defense. he needs to get better on that first step on defense. So the very thing he's good at on offense, he's kind of bad at on defense, which is guarding against that quick first step. Kind of funny how that works. But he talked about that. Obviously, the probably the most revealing part of the interview, and I almost made the show about this and not the injury. But whenever you're in my position, you have to think about what people will click. And I just didn't think very many people would click on a video titled Treyson Eaglestaff beat Javon Small's team at the NBA draft workouts, So, and that's what happened, though. Treyson Eaglestaff paired up against Javon Small's team. Not only Javon Small, but Jawan Roberts from the Houston Cougars basketball team in an NBA draft workout for the Wizards, I believe, in these workouts. And he and his teammates beat Javon Small and Jawan Roberts in a 5-on-5 game. That's pretty incredible, man. Wish I could talk to Javon Small about Eaglestaff now. I would love to pick his brain about Eaglestaff and where he thinks he could be, if anything, at this level, because that's just, that I think that would be super fun to see. But other than that, guys, there wasn't a whole lot more meat on the bone that, I mean, there's a lot more meat left on the bone, but there's not a whole lot of like negative, really. Like it was the injury was the only thing that I looked at and got a little worried about. And I felt like it was kind of breaking news a little bit, even though I think this interview happened a few hours ago, or at least they released it a few hours ago. I don't know many people that knew about this. As a matter of fact, I don't know any. So I felt like it was definitely newsworthy considering the investment we have in him. So that's what I'm talking about here. So we're talking about some of the things he mentioned in here, and this is just going to give you an idea of the player that we have in Trey Eaglestaff, and it's very impressive. So, and go watch the Three Guys interview, please. I'm not trying to steal their thunder. I'm just bringing up a few points I found to be interesting on the show. He grew up in Cheyenne River, Sioux Tribe Reservation in Mandan, North Dakota, raised by a single mother, and they lived off ramen noodles and sandwiches growing up, guys. You want to talk about shaping your mindset. And there's a lot of us in West Virginia that can probably relate to that. I was fortunate to be raised, I don't know if I've told you guys this. My dad got a settlement, a very big settlement when I was young, a big one. But he paid the ultimate price for it. My dad got electrocuted 7,600 volts and lost his right arm to gangrene, his left finger to gangrene. He couldn't even bend his wrist on the one arm he had left. He had a prosthetic arm on his right arm. And so what that afforded us, though, was that settlement, and you give a hillbilly like my dad a bunch of money, and we moved quite a bit of ways away from where I grew up in West Virginia to Huntington area, and thought that would be better for us. And it was in a lot of ways. I think it, I had never seen like an African-American or anything like that until I moved out of where I lived in Dingus. And for those of you from that area know, maybe there's more diversity now, but growing up, there wasn't a lot. So anyway, I say all that to say there's a lot of people in West Virginia that can relate to sandwiches and ramen noodles. Fortunately, I grew up a little bit more upper middle class, I would say, because we didn't get a lot. I mean, it was maybe about $1 million. I can't remember exactly. I think it was like $1 million that my dad got. Could have got a lot more, should have got a lot more. Unfortunately, these big companies, what they'll do is they'll keep you tied up in court and try to settle you out over the course of that happened to my dad in 87, and he still hadn't been paid out in 97. So 10 years later, after losing your arm, you start to lose the backbone, and they just keep you in court. So my dad finally settled out, which is kind of sad because he deserved a lot more than that. Side note, and I'll move on. I watched my dad build 3 houses with what he had, which was he had 3 fingers on this hand that it could hold a hammer in loosely, and this prosthetic arm, which he learned how to do everything with. It didn't do anything but this. So it's pretty crazy what you can do when you put your mind to it. My dad was an absolute beast of a person, man. I wish I could let you guys meet him someday, but unfortunately he passed. And he was the biggest Mountaineer fan ever. He is the reason I am such a big Mountaineer fan. Okay, so obviously back to Eaglestaff. Did you guys know? If you know any player in today's day and age, especially in the social media era, there are players that get tapped, they get dubbed, right? They get knighted. Oh, he's going to be the next great one, and they are followed throughout their career. I remember watching OJ Mayo when he was in 8th grade. I played against him at the YMCA. He played for a place called Rose Hill in Kentucky, which is in this tri-state area that I live in, which is Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, where I live. It's a tri-state area. You can get to all three within 5 minutes of each other. Well, 10. You can be in Huntington, West Virginia. You can be in South Point, Ohio. You can be in Ashland, Kentucky, all within 10 minutes of each other. And so he was playing in Rose Hill, Kentucky before he moved on to, I think he went to Cincinnati, then to Huntington. But playing against him in 8th grade, he was dunking on us in the YMCA. He was dubbed the next great one going all the way through, right? And he went to USC, ended up having a very good pro career. I mean, he averaged 20 points a game for a lot of his pro career. He wasn't what maybe some thought he was going to be, which was like a LeBron player, but he was, he was borderline, all pro for some years and very good player. So anyways, Eaglestaff, very similar, or I mean, the exact opposite. Didn't have any of this fanfare. As a matter of fact, he didn't even make almost his freshman team. And the reason the number he wears, which is number 52, I believe. I have to go back and look. Let's see. So, yeah, barely eligible as a freshman in high school and wasn't even expected to play, but wore jersey number 52 because he was the very last pick of all the jerseys. He got the last pick. And so he kept 52 as a nod to that underdog mentality that he has. And his high school coach, which we had on the show, was awesome. I love his high school coach, Jordan Wilhelm, just a very godly man. It comes through him. You know how you meet some Christians, and I'm not saying I know there are really bad ones too. I trust me, I get it. But you know how you meet some that are very good people and it literally shines through them and you can just tell like, oh, this person's got peace in their life. That's how I felt when I met Coach Wilhelm, just personally. I don't know if anybody else can relate to that, but so, I can see why he's been so good for a kid like Eaglestaff who could have easily went off the rails, raised in a single parent household. And sometimes those things don't end well. So thankful. And I'm sure his mom's a great mom. I'm just saying it's still, sometimes you got to have a dad. Right. And this sounds like it went well for him and believed in him. And so by age 16, all of a sudden he turns into this really good basketball player. He grew 4 or 5 inches and he was averaging 30 a game by junior and senior year, ranked top 5 in the state. Finally started getting some offers from North Dakota and places. Probably had he played AAU ball would have went somewhere much larger, but it didn't happen. So let's go to break really quick, guys. We'll come right back. I'll put a bow on this Eaglestaff talk. Then we'll get into some dogs because you guys know I'm excited about a couple of players, and there's a few we haven't really looked at on tape, and I want to show you those guys next. Stick around. This episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by Monarch Money. All right, so Monarch Money is one of those places where you can look and go, where did all my money go? And it's easy to lose track, and all of a sudden you've got these people that can basically be your personal CFO for your finances, giving you full visibility and control over that. Well, it's not just a budgeting app, though. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you can stop managing your money and start building your wealth. And look, if you want to manage your money with your partner, that's smooth. You can do that too. Track your shared and personal accounts together. Set goals, stay on the same page without the stress because Monarch Money is there for you. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com/LockedOnCollege for half off your very first year. And it's segment 2. Let's crack this. Somebody asked me the other day if I'd ever tried a Blue Dew. So I said, you know what? I'll go out and get one because I've only tried one, and that's when Jalen Knighton came to West Virginia because the colors at SMU. And I was trying to save it for our interview, and unfortunately, I can't say why we're not doing one, but we're not doing one. Also, not doing one with Michael Coates. Hold on. Well, I'll just say this: football camp has started, and they just want to keep a tight lid on everything. It doesn't really matter that I have advertised so and so is coming on. It doesn't really matter that I'm willing to pay so and so to come on. They want to keep a tight lid on everything, and so that's what it is. I won't say that I'm happy about it, but I do understand. I'm not going to sit here and complain too much. I just sometimes wish that there was better communication, but they don't owe me anything, and I don't even know if they respect me. Raven, welcome back. I'm so glad that you're back. Thank you so much. Raven, guys, is back, and so sorry for everything that she's gone through. I don't know if she said anything in the chat, so I'm going to leave it there. But she's had a really rough time, guys. One of the most loyal people around here, for sure. Please make sure to greet her nicely in the chat and send her prayers and thoughts her way. And those of you on podcast, sorry that you have to sometimes listen to I know there's always not a lot of visualization for the things, and sometimes I forget that you're there. And I forget. I'm sorry. I've done YouTube most of my life, or most of my time on this. Sometimes I forget that podcasts can't see what I'm talking about, so I do apologize. But back to this Eaglestaff stuff. For those of you that's just joining in, Treyson Eaglestaff did an interview on Three Guys Today. Very good interview. I would highly suggest going to watch that. But he talked about getting injured in this interview, and to me, it sounded fairly serious. It could have been worse. Going up for a dunk, I think he said he was trying to basically stun on somebody, which is another word for show off. And he hurt himself, hurt his groin, hurt his hip flexor, and he's just now getting back to where he can shoot around a bit. So, hopefully this isn't something that lingers on into the season, but it's something to keep our eyes on. And he's trying to put on weight, by the way, guys. Two of the two main things the NBA wants him to do is put on weight and also to play a little bit better on defense. Something I was always told growing up on playing basketball by my dad was just because you stop a guy doesn't mean the play's over with. And he said something in that interview that really jogged that memory. Sometimes there's multiple stops in a possession. That's so true, because I could defend my ass off. I could wall my guy off. I can keep my hands up, and my guy's got to pass it or whatever. That doesn't mean the play's over, and that doesn't mean I can slack off. A lot of times the play is made after you defended somebody really well. Let's say you guard a guy down the baseline, you get your hands up, and he's got nowhere to go. He's got to pass the ball. A lot of times, if you relax after that, he can run off a screen or come off a cut and be open. And that 3 or 4 seconds you just needed a break, he scores, right? So, the very good defenders like Javon Small or something, they don't give up there. They continue to hound them off the ball. And that's just a great point that he made in the interview today. There's multiple stops in a possession, not just one a lot of times. And I love that he's got this mindset. He's eating 4,000 calories a day, guys. That's what they've got him on. 4,000 calories or 6,000, I can't remember which one, per day to try to bulk up for the year. So if we get 220-pound Eaglestaff, we might have something really to us here. So would love to see that. More like an Eric Stevenson size. He's not quite as tall. Stevenson's probably more 6'3", but it's similar to that build. I think what we'll do now is we're going to get to the tape. A couple different things. So 4,000 a day. Okay. So what we're going to do first is we're going to watch this Eaglestaff footage of the game he had against Alabama. It's just a couple clips. I don't know if it shows every play, but I just want to refresh everybody's memory of the player we're getting here. Then we're going to move to some football stuff. All right, let's share screen here. This is I don't know who posted this. Maybe from Eaglestaff himself. So this is versus Alabama. He knew that he had done his job. Get that. See, I love his release as he comes off screens, man. He is such a good player. And that's one of my favorite plays by Eaglestaff there too, is so he's so good at crossing and left into right like this. See how he gets under the kid and then that right there. And I told you guys in the last show, he's got to move off of this, or not in the last show, but in a show about Eaglestaff's game. He's got to move off this cross where a lot of times he'll pull it from this position, going from left into right, which isn't always comfortable for righties. Like most righties want it right in the left so they can pull it like this. But anyway, he's got a little hezzy off of this move where he'll kind of do this and then do another cross off of it, which is really nice and really crafty moves. But as you can see, just a beautiful pull-up jump shot from him. And look at the space he's able to get with that cross from right to left here. It's a lot of it's to do with his length, his legs length. He's able to get really long step backs, but he's also quick. So for his size, especially 6'5", 6'6", he said 6'5" today. But these crossovers and step backs, man, get him a lot of space. I mean, look at that. It's a ton of space for him. He's even able to pause and look at the balance. Both feet perfectly aligned and horizontal to one another. And just a perfect release too. I mean, he's got such a gorgeous overall form and jump shot. And here's another thing he can do. I talk about this every time I talk about Eaglestaff, but probably my favorite thing about his game is he does something not a lot of players do. Every player probably does it to an extent, but I think his is intentional. His release changes speeds. Sometimes it's really fast. Sometimes it's really slow. As a matter of fact, this last play was an example of it being really slow. If you pay attention here, watch how much more time he takes with this release than the next play. So as you can see, that was a lot more what I would consider controlled. Watch this one. You can see he's pulling it up. Watch how quick he gets rid of this. So it just depends on if there's a guy in his face, if there's a hand in his face. There's the mid-range. There's another great example of him controlling that. And this is all about touch, right? The really good players can do this. I wasn't as good at this as like him. It's all about that's what touch is controlling that wrist movement at different lengths, at different ranges. And you can see here, you can see him putting the touch on the shot with this. So as you can see, look how smooth and look how fluid and how slow he takes this shot here. It's much more, it's not slow, but it's slower than the other shots. And so that's why he's got good touch around the rim. He got the shooter's bounce there. There's one heck of a step back. And look at the quick release on that one. Holy cow, man. I mean, he's got that thing ready to go in no time flat. So it goes from a bounce pass. So it goes from a dribble. I'm sorry, not a bounce pass. It goes from a dribble up, and then he's bringing that right hand in for triple threat. And it's all one motion after that. And just a super quick shot. Watch how quick he gets it off. It's really hard to guard that. Not everybody can do that. Some guys need a second to gather. Some guys have to get balanced. Some guys have a longer release like I did. That's like one of his most underrated aspects of his game. He's got a great pump too. But when you can shoot like he can, you're going to get guys to do this. Bye. So Eaglestaff, man, as long as he can still move like he was before, I think he comes in and I think he could have hey, Shaq, what's up? I think he could have an impact very much like Javon, but in a different way, more of a scorer for us. And then if he turns it on defense like he's wanting to, watch out. And his on-off numbers are actually really good. So if you look at him on the ball and off the ball, the numbers are actually really good. Me and a Kansas guy looked this up a few months ago when he was deciding still. we were arguing about whether it would be Kansas, where it would be West Virginia, Gonzaga, and other places. And funny about this is now that he went to West Virginia, the Kansas guy, this will make you guys laugh. Treyson Eaglestaff's not any good anymore now. He's no good. He's not very good on defense. He's kind of one dimensional. But man, when it was wide open and we all had a shot at him, oh, he could make the biggest impact on the Kansas roster this year that anybody could. Isn't that funny how that works? I intentionally, because I don't. That's like of a sports person. Like I don't want to say hate, but it's like it peeves me more than anybody else is the guy that would love a player if he's on their team, but as soon as he leaves, they're crap. Not that they don't like him. I can understand that. Like I don't like LeBron James, and it has a lot of reasons, but I acknowledge that he's one of the 3 or 4 best players ever to do it. And I wouldn't let that bias get in the way of that. So some people just it drives me crazy. Now Eaglestaff's no good. So anyways, appreciate him, and I'm glad that he's gotten some health back and everything, and hopefully that can continue because we need it. One other bit of basketball news. This will be quick. Per John Rothstein, obviously Brennan Laurent, who they're calling Belo, I believe. I heard a few guys say now, has withdrawn from the NBA draft process. He's a 6'9", 215 All-American Athletic Conference. He has first-team All-American Athletic Conference honors, 6th man of the year, where he averaged 12 points, 5 rebounds, 1.1 blocks. He shot 57% from the field. Only had 23 attempts, but almost 50% from 3. So that's interesting. We know what he can be. We know that he knows what Final Four teams look like. He was on the FAU Final Four team. And so, like Ross Hodge said, we are thrilled to have Brennan Laurent at West Virginia University. He's won at every level of basketball that he's been in, brings Final Four experience with him, and he's improved every year and has incredible high basketball ceiling. He's another big acquisition. Obviously, we knew he was coming back, but just want to absolutely make sure that we mention that because he deserves it. All right, let's go to break one more time, and what we'll do is on the other side, I got some tape for you guys. A couple players that I haven't talked about a lot that I think could definitely factor into the equation. We'll talk about them next. All right, and we are back here on Locked On West Virginia in segment 3. Thank you guys for joining in. So, I think a player that I don't know what it was about him. I have to admit I was wrong about somebody, and this is upon further tape study. I did something that I tell you guys not to do all the time, and I was feeling convicted about this. You guys may laugh at me, but I tried my very damnedest not to lie to you guys about anything. Nothing. Not my personal life, not anything I've ever been through, not anything I believe in. If I'm wrong about something, I try to admit it. Because I lived that life of lies for so long, to the point to where even one secret kills me now. And there's a saying in recovery, secrets will keep you sick. In other words, if you're in the habit of keeping secrets, then you probably still got some of that old mentality left as an addict, right? So I always tell myself, if I ever start keeping secrets or lie about anything, and this isn't that serious, but I want to catch it at the most minuscule level it can be, because it can manifest itself into, I could be telling people I went overseas and fought in 3 wars next week if I don't stop this now. So not that it's a lie, but it's something I haven't spoken about since I found out otherwise, because I don't like admitting I'm wrong about something. So Walter Youngbear, right? A lot of you guys probably have noticed that my lack of praise for him. And it's not that I think he's a bad player. It's just that, he was basically, I think he was our first offensive lineman we picked up, definitely top 2. And his initial highlight reel that I found didn't impress me a lot. I thought he looked unathletic in it. And I still don't think he's the most amazing athlete, but unathletic is totally wrong. And upon further tape study, because I decided to jump into full game footage, I was wrong about that, and I had to come on here and admit it. So we're going to watch some Walter Youngbear cut up. Obviously, can't watch full game footage. We just don't have that kind of time. But I want to give him his due diligence and show him on screen because I haven't done that here yet, and he deserves it. And I'm going to highlight some things about his game that I think are good. So here we go with Will Youngbear, number 54, here at the left guard spot. Very, very low to the ground, very, very wide base kind of guy, very wide at the hips. So what it allows him to do is he's able to anchor like nobody's beeswax, and he's also very, very strong, which you'll see in some of these clips. And this is against pretty good competition in a lot of these. So the first thing you notice about Youngbear here is the hands, right? It's a great punch. Watch the contact when he punches and watch how he gets up under and underneath this guy. Oh, moving him off the ball. Let me get this sound off here. Here he is again, another nasty play, and he's got some nasty to him now. Here he is in pass pro. As you can see, moving, getting somebody up out of the way. Here he is in one-on-one pass pro, absolutely dominating and finishing somebody to the ground. Here he is again in one-on-one pass pro, which he graded out very good. I'll have to go get the PFF scores, but if you look a lot of these, man, I mean, he just dominates people straight to the ground and does some really good work. Look at those hands. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, it's so beautiful. Does a really good job. And the thing is, you know, he diagnoses well. A lot of guys would have stayed one-on-one with this guy here, right? But, well, it was actually a double team, sorry. But a lot of guys would have stayed with us and continued to work over here. Your tackle's one-on-one. He's probably a good player. Instead, he moves off and saves a sack, right? Not everybody's doing that. And you see this over and over. He's very good under fire with upstairs thinking. Offensive line is very much a thinking man's game. A lot of people may not know that, but I mean, he's got some quickness to him too, and I just don't know why I judged him so poorly. Sometimes you just miss, and I guess I just, you know, I saw him pull a couple times and thought, man, he's not very quick. He's not very fast. I don't know if it's going to work at the Big 12 level. And I'm not saying he's going to be an All-American either, but I just want to say he's much better than I realized. And, you know, there's a reason I'm not a pro scout. There's a reason. I mean, look, here's a great example, just a great example of how wrong could I be about this kid's athleticism. Look at him move up to the second level, all the way almost to the third level, and catch this safety here. I mean, that's great stuff, and finishes him out of bounds. It's not easy to do. And you know, I mean, I'm not going to, I know I keep saying I was wrong, but it makes me mad that I was wrong. I want to get him right. I mean, here he is on a double team block where he pieces up the D tackle, works his way up to the second level, and look at him work. Pieces up so he double teams the D tackle. Obviously, now it's his job to work up to the second level and get this guy where this play goes nowhere. And watch how beautifully he works it. And he makes the play. Now, unfortunately, his teammates behind him didn't hold their blocks, and that's why the play didn't work. So you can maybe you can make a case he gets a little better push here with his teammate. But as soon as he moves to the next guy, I mean, they both kind of got beat here a little, but I mean, they pushed him back too. You know, if his teammate's able to get the angle and wall off that hole, Youngbear makes the second block for sure here. And I mean, this guy shouldn't be here. He should be here, and there should be a hole, right? So he did a great job there too. And this is highlights, supposed to. But let's see, let's start this one over. So this is kind of messed.
No, I was just in the spot with a.
Oops. I don't know what I did there. Is this one it? Kind of messed it up. Okay, so it's the next play. We kind of messed that one up a little, didn't we? Oh, I think it's this one. Yep, it's the next play now for sure. Sorry about this, y'all. So so this is kind of a stunt, right? It is a stunt. Now the guy came over finally. So this is tough as an offensive lineman diagnosing stunts. This DN's coming all the way over here. This guy's crossing coming over into here. It's very difficult to pick these things up sometimes, and guys get flustered with it. So I was wrong on Walter Youngbear, and I now have him as to be a very, very, very high probability as one of our starters. He's got a great shot. I guess maybe I was watching the wrong guy or something. I keep going back to like trying to find the footage I found the first time, and I don't know if it was his first year. I don't know what I missed. So I need to apologize for it. He's a good player. All right, let's hurry and get to one other piece of tape. I got two guys here to choose from. We can't do them both. I'll let you guys in the comments chime in really quick. Would you rather see Derek Carter at the corner or Darren Lewis, the safety, who I have dubbed as the next great one? And that's true. That's real. That's true, by the way. Curious to know who you guys would rather see really quick. If nobody answers, I'm just going to pick one. Because, I mean, we got 500 people in here. There should be enough. But, yeah, so I like them both. Carter's got a lot of upside as well. So, okay, we got safety. That's what we're going with. We'll go with Darren Lewis for now, and I kind of want to get into why he's rated so highly and some of the things he does. So we'll take 5 minutes and look at him really quick, and then we'll jump out of here. So this is obviously my guy Bip, who has him rated as a 5-star as well. And a lot of people disagree with that. And that's fine. They can. But here's the thing. Like I say all the time, guys like Darren Lewis get overlooked by the big rankers, and you know, I think they have him ranked as a 3-star guy in their thing. I promise you, I guarantee you, I'll give you I got money on this one. You know, if you guys want to bet it, that this kid will be an absolute stud for us. And this is just based off what I see, but let's watch. Darren Lewis does so many things well. He's a great tackler, first of all. He's great in space. He could probably play corner at times. But if you want to talk about just coming up in the run and making plays, he's 8 out of 10 athlete. He plays the ball. Everything he does is 8 out of 10 or better. Literally everything from hips to feet to rerouting people to the way he diagnoses things to the way he takes angles to the ball. Like everything he does is well above average. And some things he does even better than that. And here's one of those things. I mean, he is moving down. I mean, look at him. He is 12 yards off the ball here. And watch how quickly he gets there and makes a play. Boom. And almost that guy's lucky his knees can get blown out. I mean, that's a decleating hit right there. Here you can see him in the back end here. I believe that's him. I want to make sure. No, he was off screen, but this is that same play. Okay, that makes more sense. Here he is playing some corner, and this just goes to show you how hard he works. He's not in that play, right? I mean, he's not even in that play and came up and made the play. So you like to see that as well. And here he comes, and you see some of the speed, right? I mean, he's really freaking moving here, guys. Look at the speed and look at everybody else around him. Outrunning everybody. Boom. Putting a big hit on somebody. You love to see that too. So athleticism, he's got that. Here he outruns blocks to make a tackle on the hole on a play. Here he is playing, some corner again. And he just makes a solid tackle onto the line. Love to see that too. So that's another great play. Obviously, he did what he was supposed to do on that play. A lot of guys would have obviously he's reading the quarterback's eyes. He knows right away that the play's not going to this kid. So he does what he's supposed to do, gets hands on him, and then reads the play for what it is and comes up and makes a play on the quarterback. It's nice to see that too. I want to see some of these plays in coverage. I don't know if I selected the right tape here. Here he is right here. coming in and making a big play there. A lot of these are in run defense, which is fine. He's really good with that. And, one of the three safeties, obviously, you've got to have two really good run defenders in this defense that Zach Alley runs. But, I mean, he just flies in, reckless abandon. He gets there pissed off. Love to see that. That should have been a pick, probably. Let's see that again. So, as you can see, this guy's going to come up in the soft spot of this zone here, and he reads it and cuts it off. Should have been a pick or close to it. Nice job there, too. I think this is the same play, but from behind. Can't really tell. The offensive line making calls together. Yeah, this gives you a better vantage point of it. So here he comes into the play over here. And he's reading, obviously, the quarterback, and he's reading this receiver, both. And as you can see, nice play. Should have been a pick, though. Should have been a pick. I'm sure he knows that. See, he can come off the edge like a demon and make plays. You love to see that, too. Here is way back here. And, I mean, the hustle to come all the way down and make this play, Some guys wouldn't do that, and I think he's going to fit right in with the hard edge mentality with that. I mean, he's way back here, way back here, way back here. He's almost back here with the back judge. And, I mean, he's out of the play and all the way comes up and makes the play. Well, I mean, he's in on the play. But, no, he makes the play. Just great hustle by him. So Darren Lewis is one that I really love, and you look at him as an athlete, what he brings to the table from a coverage perspective. His grades are really good, and I think he's going to come into West Virginia and make a huge impact. I really do. I've said it multiple times. So be looking for Darren Lewis to maybe hear his name a few times this coming summer. So. Appreciate you guys for joining in on this one. It's been fun. Wish I could stay longer, but we got to roll. Treyson Eaglestaff, that's what this video is about. The interview he did with three guys, which was good. Got injured during NBA workouts, but he seems to be doing better now, which is great. Wanted to cover that in the interview some. Brennan Laurent's out of the NBA draft, which is great. We needed him as another piece, and we'll keep an eye on football this week. Hopefully we get a Rich Rod interview soon. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen. If you could do me a big old favor and make Locked On Portal your next listen for your second listen and be the most informed fan of the rapid changes to college football, find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And I'll see you guys on the next one, y'all. All right, I'm out of here. Have a great week, and I'll see you on the next one.